Eric Deters, the Bulldog on Real Talk 1160. Are you ready for your daily dose of radio superbity?
We are ready.
Not only am I ready, TC, we are honored this morning that my wife is in her car listening.
Is she really?
Yes, she is. And I probably just got in trouble for just mentioning it.
Gonna have to watch what we say today, huh?
TC.
Yes, sir.
Once upon a time, there was a basketball team.
Yes.
And they were coached by a fun-loving, smart and talented Italian named John Calipari. And he recruited the best players in the land and assembled them as a team. And he was able to have these players play as a team, as great as they were as individuals, and he got them to play defense and rebound and hustle. And they started playing basketball games in November. And they won game after game. They got upset once, then upset twice. But they would not get upset a third time. And they would bring back, for the first time since 1998, a national championship. And those of you that do not believe that there was some coaching involved, for the first time in 13 years, the overall number one seed won the tournament. So what about all those coaches that coached those number one overall seeds the last 13 years and failed to win the tournament?
They weren't UK's Calipari.
And I just want everybody to know that Jim Nance, Clark Kellogg, Steve Kerr can kiss Kentucky's hillbilly butt.
Da, 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 da.
Dick Vitale, you're an oracle. Charles Barkley, we thank you for your love and support. And now, to honor the Kentucky Wildcats, the national champions, the feel-good song of the day by Todd Rundgren.
Yeah, baby.
Who wants to work today? Nobody. Nobody wants to work. Do you want to work? It's a holiday in Kentucky. We are national champions. Yeah, baby.
All the guys working, the guy's cleaning up the mess down there in Lexington.
You know what? If this is good enough for the Bengals when they score a touchdown, it's good enough
Yeah,
for the
baby.
UK Wildcats. We are the champions. Ha, 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 ha. Let me see all these regional teams. The Bobcats of Ohio, the Buckeyes of Ohio State, the Muskies of Xavier, the Bearcats of UC, the Cardinals of Louisville. But no, only one's left. The University of Kentucky Wildcats ate some Jayhawk last night. They ate some Jayhawk. I thought they'd win by 30 after the first half.
Yeah, that had to be an exciting game, though. You know.
Ladies and gentlemen in the American jury, to honor the University of Kentucky Wildcats in my Harlan County heritage, I have not slept. I have not bathed or showered. I just took off the shirt I wore yesterday and threw on my Final Four T-shirt. Thank you, my brother-in-law, Joe.
That's an honor.
I haven't even put on deodorant, man. Jacob, do I smell? No. He says I don't, but he isn't close enough to see me smell.
You know, this is a first for us as well. I don't think we've ever started off the program with a feel-good song. That's quite an honor.
You know what it was? I think playing Mr. Blue Sky by ELO yesterday was a premonition that this was going to happen.
I think you're right. We made it happen.
Yeah, baby. Oh, by the way, Jack Wagon also, CBS CBS Sports. Let's try to ruin the national championship game by having an interview with Clark Kellogg and Barack Obama.
Oh, well, you know.
I didn't like that, TC.
You know?
I didn't like that. I'm sitting there thinking to myself, are you kidding me? This is a national championship basketball game. Let's give the president some free advertising.
Well, you know, CBS and the Republicans haven't been exactly getting along ever since that George Bush thing, you know?
And how about this? This was the day after I praised the CBS morning show on Sunday, and the CBS 60 Minutes is the two best shows on television.
Yeah, well, you know. It happens.
All right. Well,
we got a special thing for Mr. Calipari. Wrote a song for him.
You did? Okay.
Like to hear it?
Yes, we want to hear the
go.
special song by T.C. Summers for John Calipari.
UK's Calipari is an exceptional coach. Yes, if you're not a UK fan, that might sound braggadocious. Yes, recruits high school players and he sends them to the pros. Yes, UK's Calipari is an exceptional coach. Yes, I'm going to sign with him. I'm going to sign. Okay, maybe not. I'm not tall enough.
Hey, TC, I want to tell you something. If you are a young man, you are a McDonald's All-American, you are a high school junior or senior superstar, everybody wants you. You know that you got the opportunity to be an NBA player. Why would you not go to the University of Kentucky?
I'm there.
Where you get to run. Anthony Davis said in Chicago, when he was being recruited, he says, yeah, most of the McDonald's preps, they all want to go UK. And here's the reason why. Look at the style difference of North Carolina, Duke, Pitino in Louisville versus Calipari. You know, you got to play D at UK, but guess what? He says, dribble drive, baby. Run and gun. Let's play some ball.
Right.
Attack. That's what it's all about. I mean, why would you not? And you got a coach who basically says, hey, man, if you're ready for the NBA, I wish you luck. Thank you for coming here.
Right.
You're going to get no grief from him.
And the NBA
and now one of the number one players in the country, folks, is a kid out of New Hampshire, which is kind of funny when you think about it. He's a prep school from New Hampshire. They say he can be a presence just like Anthony Davis in the middle. And UK's on his short list. So's Duke. Let's hope we land him because we just proved how valuable having a dude in the middle. You know, it was going to be funny. It was the greatest NBA. I think he only scored 5. The greatest game ever played by a guy who only scored 5 points.
Yeah.
I mean, 16 rebounds, 5 or 6 blocks, assists. I mean, he was blocking and rebounding. He couldn't score. MVP. And how about Lamb stepping up last night? Oh, and Teague. I was ready to kill Teague at the beginning of the second half with the turnovers. But then he came through with that 3. God, did we need that 3.
Now, see, that shows you what a good team they are all around,
yes.
You know?
Oh, yes.
One guy's having a bad day, somebody steps up.
Gilchrist in the beginning of the game, Jones battled. It was a team effort.
Yeah, no doubt.
I just... Oh, it feels. Afterwards, you know what it is, and you know what this is because it's already really kind of over. What's great about winning is not losing.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, after your team wins a championship, after the next day, like tomorrow, it's over.
Right.
But it's kind of like when you lose, it lasts forever.
You think about that game.
And what a week we have, folks. I mean, we have opening day Thursday. Remember, we're going to be broadcasting live down at Findlay Market, and I've got some long-sleeve Bulldogs Mafia black tees. The first 50-some-odd people that come up to me while I'm broadcasting, we're going to give you a T-shirt, and we're going to be in the parade. And then we have Easter weekend's coming up.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
My daughter's birthday, April 5th, I think, is Thursday. I mean, this is a huge week, TC.
It is. A lot going on.
And today in history, some great stuff. 1860, the Pony Express began between St. Louis and Sacramento. Jesse James was shot by that coward Robert Ford. 1936, Bruno Hauptmann was electrocuted. Bad day for Bruno. Bruno was electrocuted. Harry Truman signed the Marshall Plan into law. 1968, this was the day before King was assassinated. He delivered his mountaintop speech. 1986, our national debt hit, $2 trillion. Birthdays today, we got some good ones. Marlon Brando, Doris Day, Wayne Newton, and Eddie Murphy. That's a good one, baby. I'm a black Benny man. I'm a Benny man. Remember selling his cigarettes at Beverly Hills Cop? I'm a Benny man. Marlon Brando, Doris Day, Wayne Newton. By the way, the guy that pulls these all for me, was telling who they were, and I said, listen, dude, if you have to tell the American jury who they are, they're not famous enough to report. Everybody knows who Marlon Brando, Doris Day, Wayne Mooten, and Eddie Murphy is. We come back, more radio superbity. It's a Cats Day. Wildcats, national champions on Real Talk 1160.
Make sure you listen up for Bill O'Reilly's Talking Points coming up at 7:28 this morning on Real Talk 1160. And now, back to the Bulldog.
Eric Deters, the Bulldog on Real Talk 1160. I'm sad to report that we lost another brave soldier. Specialist James E. Dutton, 25, of Chickasaw, Oklahoma, died March 31st in Logar Province, Afghanistan. He was assigned to the 125th Brigade Support Battalion, 3rd Infantry Brigade Combat Team, 1st Armored Division at Fort Bliss, Texas. God bless James Dutton, his family, his friends, his community, the Corps, the Army, the Air Force, the Navy, the Guard. God bless our country. 3-day forecast. Today's partly cloudy. Wednesday, isolated storms. Thursday, a few showers. We don't care. It's opening day. We're going to all party. Yes, we will. A history story. I'm not going to share it with you today, except you can find it on my blog and newsletter. It's about the legacy of John Wooden. We're going to make you laugh.
The Wooden legacy?
The Wooden legacy. We're going to make you laugh, folks. You know, it used to be you could tell these jokes, and they were called Polish jokes. You know what I mean? But now we got to pick on the blonde. So any joke involving any kind of an idiot, we just do blonde, because you know what? Isn't it amazing? You're allowed to make fun of blondes.
And cavemen.
And cavemen. So here we go. Bob, a handsome dude, that's what it says, walked into a sports bar around 9:58 p.m. I don't know why 9:58 p.m., but it's 9:58 p.m. He sat down next to a beautiful blonde at the bar and began to watch TV. The 10 o'clock news was coming on. The news crew was covering the story of a man on the ledge of a tall building preparing to jump. The blonde looked at Bob and said, "Do you think he'll jump?" Bob said, "You know, I bet he'll jump." The blonde replied, "I bet he won't." Bob placed $20 on the bar and said, "You're on." Just as the blonde placed her money on the bar, the guy did a swan dive off the building, falling to his death. The blonde was very upset and handed her $20 to Bob, saying, "Fair's fair. Here's your money." Bob replied, "I can't take your money. I saw this earlier on the 5 o'clock news. I knew he'd jump." The blonde replied, "So did I, but I didn't think he'd do it again."
Whoa.
Bob took her money. That's good.
I'm writing that one down.
If you like that joke, you can check it out on my blog and newsletter on realtalk1160.com, Facebook page, and thebulldogsnation.com. I have a rest in peace. It is with great sadness that I am reporting the death of Gary Heydrich, age 54. He was a lifelong inspiration and a battler of cerebral palsy. A lot of people in the tri-state, particularly northern Kentucky, know the Heydrich family. His father, Mac, was he was a manager or general manager of some type at Pilot Construction forever. His brother, Dave Heydrich, Rich Heydrich. Oh, what's the other brother's name? I can't believe I can't think of it. But he had cerebral palsy, and my brother Seth went to Redwood the same time Gary was at Redwood. And, of course, my brother Seth's 47. And I always thought the Heydrichs, Mac and his wife, were saints because they took care of Gary every day. And Gary had a severe form of cerebral palsy that he was wheelchair bound. But he was always smiling, and he needed that great care that his mom and dad provided to him every day of his life. And, you know, it's amazing how you put things in perspective. If you're having a bad day today, folks, if you're having a bad day today, I mean, I'm telling you, even if you're going through a foreclosure, just thank yourself your lucky stars that you do not have cerebral palsy so severe that you're in a wheelchair. And I always thought to my brother how lucky we were that Seth's cerebral palsy wasn't so severe that he was wheelchair bound and can take care of himself and work every day on the farm. But I caught this on Facebook. Dave Heydrich's a Facebook friend, and I saw it. And I just want to send out all the best to the Heydrich family. And those of you that know the Heydrich family, send them some love and support today. But Gary Heydrich passed away at age 54. Now let's turn to some pop culture, shall we? Pop culture. Now this is pretty incredible, folks. If you know where Ben and Jerry is today, they're giving out free cones from noon to 8 in celebration of the 34th anniversary of the company. Any flavor you want nationwide.
Free cones with ice cream?
Free cones with ice cream.
Okay.
That's a good... Boy, you ought to be a lawyer, TC.
I mean, they said free cones.
You ought to be a lawyer. Today, Sarah Palin is going to be on the Today Show. She's going to host the Today Show. We got to probably turn that on in the studio and check that out.
The perky Sarah Palin.
Are you able to set aside Robin Meade for a few hours?
Yeah, I've got to see her debut.
By the way, Matt Lauer asked her if she's been preparing by reading a few newspapers. That's funny.
Oh.
That's funny stuff.
Don't go there. Don't go there.
In local news, the Cincinnati police chief is calling, these 5 people were shot on Sunday night in Avondale. And Chief James Craig said on Monday, we need to eradicate the family, call to action the community, blah, 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 blah. Ladies and gentlemen of the American jury, I have one question. For you. Where's Sharpton? Where's Jesse? Where's the rhyming reverends? Where are they? Hey, come. Not 1, 5. 5 people shot in Avondale. Where's the rhyming reverends, TC? Do you know where they are?
Good. I was thinking about that myself. I was wondering, will they come to town,
Oh, my gosh. Also in local news, Thomas Massey, who is running for Congress in the 4th Congressional District to replace Jeff Davis, put together, and I saw this last night, great timing. It was on during the basketball game. Great timing. He did a television commercial with Jeff Davis from the House floor talking about Thomas Massey, that he went to MIT, that he had this invention, that he created this company, and he came back to Lewis County to help, his county out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's beautiful, and it's all public record. And there's Jeff Davis, who's he replacing for Congress. It is a smart campaign commercial. Apparently, Davis is, man, you got to take that down. In Thomas Massey campaign, so maybe we're not going to take this down.
Hey, you've got all of Northern Kentucky had to see that.
But
right?
It is a beautiful thing. All right, we've already covered the national championship. And by the way, TC, I think yesterday I predicted that UK would win by 10.
Yes, you did.
And they won by 8. But
Close enough.
Anthony Davis, let's finish up with some more sports. Anthony Davis was the most outstanding player of the NCAA championship. He's going to be the first overall pick in the draft if he decides to go the NBA route. 6 points, 16 rebounds, 6 block shots, 5 assists, 3 steals. Incredible. And by the way, he also won the National AP Player of the Year, the Naismith Player of the Year, the Wooden Player of the Year, the Rupp Player of the Year, SEC Player of the Year, Freshman of the Year. He was everything of the year.
Wouldn't you love to be his agent?
Yes, I would be. Also in sports real quick, the Rockets 99, Bulls 93, Reds 2, Indians 1. Joey Votto, $225 million, 10-year deal. I'm going to comment on that when we come back. The Bulldog on Real Talk 1160. Eric Deters, the Bulldog on Real Talk 1160. Ladies and gentlemen, the American jury, it's been reported that the happiest age in life is 33.
Why is that?
I don't know.
Is it that magic number thing?
Well, I can tell you this. 3s are important. Remember, 3s and 7s. And also, the good Lord himself, Jesus, died at the age of 33. I'm assuming that he was a happy fella, even though he passed away, because he went home. He went home to God in heaven. But age 33, TC, just think about that, TC. That was 16 years ago in our lives, buddy. By the way, I don't necessarily think that's true. I mean, come on. There's all kinds of, like right now, I'm happy. And I got an expression. This is an original quote. It's witty and wise, TC. You can borrow it and use it as your own.
All right.
You cannot get more happy. You know how many people mess up their lives because they're trying to get more happy? Once you are happy, you can't get more happy. Happy is a state of mind. You're happy or you're not happy. You can't get more happy. There are people who are happy and they try to get more happy and they screw it up.
But then there are people who are happy. Then there are people who are happier.
Then there's people that are happy and they know it and clap their hands. It just came to me. I know other people
Somehow I knew you were going there.
People driving were thinking that.
Yeah, you better
if
keep your hands on the wheel.
You're happy and you know it, clap your hands.
Not while you're driving, though. While you're stuck on 471 maybe. But that's a bad situation. Take an alternate route if you're using that. They got started that construction over there around 275 and 471.
Yes.
That's a mess.
A little observation of the game last night. We've been joking. My wife and I have been joking about this all year long. Is the University of Kentucky subs. You see those 3 or 4 little short guys that look, they never get in the game. Calipari doesn't even put them in the game when they're up 50 with 30 seconds to go. Those little guys have had a fun time, though. They just think they're on the team. They're going to get a championship ring. They never got in games. Who cares? Who wouldn't want that job just to sit on the bench all day long? By the way, Barack Obama, TC, and we're, of course, going to cover politics. Barack Obama wants the happiest age to be 26.
Why is that?
Did you know that?
No. Why?
And he's working really hard to make sure that 26 is the happiest age. Here's why. Obamacare, of all of its flaws and problems, that is going to allow kids to stay on their parents' health care plan till they're 26.
And then 27 is going to be miserable.
That is insane, folks. Now, listen. My wife and I, we have, my daughter's lives outside the house in an apartment near law school. My other daughter just got married. Her son's down at the University of Louisville. Yeah. Then the other 2 boys, Cameron and Parker, are at home, and they're 20 and 19. Come on. Now, listen, I hope they stay at home forever. But come on, man. To 26 on a health care plan?
Well, now, wait a minute. You're talking about a college graduate who spent mom and dad's money, can't get a job, been living in the basement. They support Barack Obama on Facebook. They like him. They're entitled to their insurance.
Yep, under Obamacare they are.
And they got video games. I mean, come on.
The video games thing, I'm not going to mention names, but I'm aware of somebody. I don't know this individual personally, but I'm aware of somebody who's got like a super, super great job.
Yeah.
And her husband apparently stays home all day playing video games.
No. Really?
That's messed up, man. That's messed up. That's what another client told me.
Okay.
And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, are you kidding me? CC, we're 48 years old. Can you imagine us staying home all day playing video games?
Not without winning that Powerball.
I think Buckeye Mike, are you ready to join? Are you ready to join the Big Blue Nation?
I will say it's a great day to be a Buckeye, but it must be an incredible day to be a Wildcat fan.
It sure is, TC. I'll go ahead and go out on a limb right there. This was the greatest, when I say greatest, the best. This was the best University of Kentucky basketball team of all time. 1996, Patino assembled. He had, Antoine Walker, Walter McCarty, Wayne Turner. Wayne Turner wasn't good enough for the NBA. This team is the greatest team, meaning the best team in University of Kentucky history, and I don't even think it's close.
I think not only were they a great bunch of players, but they played as a team. And I said all along, if they play as a team, you can't beat them. They're just too good.
And there's a legend playing the NBA called Dan Issel. Sorry, Dan Issel, move aside. Right. The greatest big man in the history of University of Kentucky basketball is a guy named Anthony Davis.
I think so.
He's the only guy to win the AP, the Wooden, the Naismith, all of them, all in one time, baby.
He was awesome, and only scoring 5 points last night was and doing what he did. Oh my God! That's in the blocks. Oh, hitting people from they didn't know where the ball was. They're shooting the ball up and where to go.
How discouraging is it to know that if you drive in the lane and shoot, you're going to get blocked?
Right, it's terrible. Hey, you did mention something I liked, and I'm glad you did it. The Obama Clark Kellogg interview. What was that all about? We didn't need them in the middle. And did you hear what he said? Now, when I get reelected,
Yep.
and I'm like, oh, come on, now that's not right. And Clark, I got to talk to him. You know, Ohio State guy here. What's up with that? But the real one, did you hear the national anthem at the beginning?
No, I missed the national anthem, to be honest.
Brother, go on YouTube and listen to that, and it was a butcher.
Did they modify it? Did they modify it?
That thing. That was that bad to me.
Well, I tell you right now, the halftime interview with Barack Obama was totally, totally uncalled for, unnecessary. It ruined my Final Four or my final championship night. Let me see. What else do we have here? Joey Votto, USA Today is reporting. Everybody else is reporting. $225 million in 10 years. Fourth biggest contract in Major League Baseball history. He will also receive a full no-trade clause. Ladies and gentlemen, the American jury, I'm happy for the Reds in the short term and all that, but let me tell you something, folks. I predict this does not turn out well. I predict it does not turn out $20 million a year for I'm telling you, Joey Votto, with all due respect, okay, he proved himself unstable. A year ago, 2 years ago, he was out a little bit. He had some issues and whatnot. Yeah. And I'm telling you, this is not a good. You watch, it's gonna hurt him.
Remember the Ken Griffey Jr. story?
Yes.
3 words: plagued with injuries.
Yep. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell says he will not stand in the way if New Orleans hires Bill Parcells to take over the New Orleans Saints. Let me see. What else do we have? This is good stuff here. This is from CNN. Martha Johnson, the head of the General Service Administration. Ladies and gentlemen, the American jury, the General Service Administration was really created by Harry Truman, and it was developed to protect us from government overspending.
What happened to that?
She resigned Monday after admitting her agency squandered taxpayer dollars on a training conference in Vegas. Now, what? I want to know who the consultant is. I want to know who the consultant is that got $75,000 on team building. We got team building. $30,000 on catering, $100,000 plus on travel, $6,000 on T-shirts, keychains and canteens, $6,000 on commemorative coins, 300 people, $822,000 taxpayer dollars.
Are you kidding me?
You believe that? The GSA going to Vegas.
This is a government agency? No, seriously?
Yes, a government agency.
I want Jesse and Al to go there and march on her front yard.
Now, TC, what is it about the lotto if you win? Ladies and gentlemen, the American jury, if I win the lotto with my office pool, it'd be like, hey, we're all rich.
Right.
Chuck Holbrook was nice and went out and got $10 of tickets for me on the Mega Millions twice this past week because I had forgotten, and he did those, and he emailed me the ticket. Now, you know what? If I would have won, I would have given him a big chunk of that money.
Yeah.
Because he got the tickets for me.
Right.
What is it about these people that are so greedy? They want to stiff somebody. 37-year-old Merlande Wilson, an employee of a Maryland McDonald's, is under fire from coworkers who claim the winning ticket was part of a lottery pool. She claims she bought the ticket with her own money. She has yet to claim her prize, which could be a lump sum of $157.8 million. Now, I want to tell you something. If she did with her own money, well, then that's fine. That's her. So we don't know the facts. Trust me, I've been learning lately, you need not to speak about stuff you don't know all the facts, and I've been watching the media get a lot of facts wrong, if you know what I mean. But
basically she bought a bunch of tickets with the people at work.
Well, we're going to find out.
Okay.
I thought the Maryland winner was a single ticket purchase. If that's the case, that would support more that she just bought the ticket because, come on, they all pulled their money for $1 ticket.
Right.
Here's my 10 cents. Here's my 10 cents. If she bought just a single ticket, I think that supports her story. We come back, we got lots of news to coverage, and we will do it. The Bulldog on Real Talk 1160.
This afternoon, it's Real Sports with Wild Man Rick the Brick, Jeff Porcaro, Kevin Couch, Brooke Shields. 5-7 here on Real Talk 1160. I made that part up. Brooke Shields isn't in. And now back to the Bulldog.
Eric Deters, the Bulldog on Real Talk 1160. TC, success is the sweetest revenge on your enemies. Do you agree?
Oh, yeah. Yes, definitely.
Can you imagine my political and legal enemies in northern Kentucky and the tri-state, how they must just be absolutely going bonkers at the idea and thought that despite 20 days left on my Kentucky suspension, that they know that when I get off the suspension that I will be representing Sarah Jones and Cheryl Jones in a case that the national media is all over.
You can't wait for that, can you?
No, I can't. But can you imagine how it's driving them nuts? They're like, what the heck? And they're sharks. And, of course, what is my record, TC, in representing teachers?
I think you want to know.
That is correct.
Undefeated.
That is correct. Calipari, let's go ahead and discuss this, folks, in the aftermath of the UK win. There's a lot of discussion. Remember, he went from Massachusetts to coach New Jersey, and it was a disaster. And there's talk that they can give him part of the ownership of the Knicks, and he could go coach the Knicks. And now that he's won the national championship, what is there more to prove? I don't see it happening, and let me explain why. He's already did it. He knows the NBA sucked. And guess what? He's making $5.4 million, as he says, the best coaching job in basketball. He's a guy. You know, Pitino made the mistake. Now, Pitino's defense, he had Duncan. People forget this. Duncan was going to be the number one pick. The Celtics, odds-on favorite to get him. He was going to go revive the Celtics with Tim Duncan, and something happened. Quirk of fate, San Antonio, and not the Celtics got Tim Duncan in the little ball hopper odds. But I just don't think Calipari's making $5.4 million coaching UK, having fun. Heck, he's coaching NBA players before they get to the NBA. Yeah. I don't see him. He seems awful happy.
And I'm pretty sure people like him.
Oh, my God. Can you imagine he can run for Bashir, the governor of Kentucky, was there to help get the trophy last night. And I'm sitting here thinking, Calipari would win like 95% of the vote. Only a few Louisville fans. But he would be elected governor if he ran.
He could be president.
He
might not solve the national debt, but he'll get Congress to the Final Four.
That's correct. This is a sad story, folks. A former 43-year-old student at Christian University, the Oikos University, opened fire at the school Monday, killing at least 7 people and setting off an intense manhunt that ended with his capture. You know what, folks? I guess probably nobody like this is listening to this show. But if your life's in a downward spiral and it's all messed up and you want to take your own life, just take your own life and leave everybody else the hell alone. You know, I mean, this is just to just take life. Take life. Senseless life. In America, unlike some of these radical extreme Muslims that want to blow themselves up, we value human life in this country more than any other place in the world, especially those of us that are pro-life on the abortion issue. And I tell you right now, to take another life, trust me, folks, there are times when I wish we had duels. And there are times that I wish I was a real godfather of a real mafia and we could go whack some people. But the reality is, who wants a murder on their conscience?
Right.
It's not good.
We've had way too much lately.
Oh.
I mean, too many shootings lately.
And I'm telling you right now, I believe in that copycat stuff, TC. I think people see that stuff and say, man, I ought to do that. I mean, I do. I really do. Yeah. I think it's kind of like
remember the Virginia Tech shooting? You know, everyone was shocked that the student would just walk around, and then, well, before that, of course, we had Columbine, and then you had another shooting at another school. I think a security guard or something was shot. Then you had the thing up in Chardon, Ohio.
Lots of shootings.
Yeah.
Appearing consistent with George Zimmerman's account of what happened between he and Trayvon Martin, the Florida teen he shot on February 26, ABC News enhancement of police department footage shows visible gashes on his head. By the way, it cracked me up that when they showed the original footage, everybody says, "Oh, look, it's not black." Heck, it was gray. It was real far removed. I mean, normal footage, you can't tell. Look, his nose isn't broken. How could you tell?
Yeah, right. You wouldn't know.
Those rhyming reverends. And legal news. I'm going to tell you something, folks. And I'm going to do a rant about this. Later on, you're going to hear a rant about, and I put this on my Facebook page, shouldn't truth matter in the media, in law, and in politics? Shouldn't the truth matter? There are some messed up stuff here. A New Jersey man who was strip searched in prison after being accused of failing to pay a traffic fine lost his appeal Monday. The 5-4 divided court found 2 county jails struck a reasonable balance between inmate privacy and the needs of the correctional institution. Justice Kennedy wrote that the search policy was designed to protect inmates. You get a traffic ticket, TC, and it's okay to be strip searched.
Where was this, in Grand County?
No. Now, by the way, what I'm about ready to say is not commenting about the representation of Sarah Jones. It's commenting about something that makes no sense to me, okay? If you go to the Hamilton County Courthouse and you have an attorney pass, you're allowed to walk on in to the courthouse without going through metal detectors. Well, that's not the case over in Northern Kentucky, okay? Now, when was the last time a lawyer went on a shooting spree in the courthouses? Never! Never! Yet, lawyers have to go through the metal detectors over in Kenton County. Now, why would, you got all the media circus there, you got all of that. Guess what? Could the Joneses go up the back elevator and go into the court? No. You got to go through the metal detectors. Like Cheryl Jones and Sarah Jones are going to be packing heat. You know what I'm saying? I mean, right. I tell you right now, TC, I go bonkers with the world's stupid rules. The lack of common sense. And if somebody's creating a uncommon sense club because common sense is uncommon.
Now, see, they may not go into the courtroom packing heat, but you never know. There might be some nut job who does.
Well, all I'm saying is right now it drives me nuts. Immigration and Customs Enforcement said Monday it arrested 3,168 criminal aliens and fugitives in a 6-day nationwide sweep in every state, including Puerto Rico and the District of Columbia. In politics, Wisconsin primary today. There are 43 delegates available in Wisconsin. Romney's going to win this one.
43 cheeseheads.
Also voting today, the District of Columbia and Maryland. The Terrapins. Maryland. By the way, if you didn't know, folks, Maryland was a Catholic colony founded by Lord Baltimore. That's why Baltimore's named Baltimore.
Is that right?
Yeah, it was a Catholic colony. The good old Catholics got Maryland. Romney hit with the faith question on Monday after Ron Paul supporter asked Romney about his Mormon faith and whether or not he thought it was a sin for interracial couples to have children. Romney replied, "No, next question." Good job, Mitt. Good job. Answer the question and go on. When asked if Clinton might replace Biden on a 2012 ticket, Nancy Pelosi deferred the question and said, "I'd love to see Secretary Clinton become the nominee in 2016. Yeah, she'll be there.
I bet you she is.
She'll be there.
Yep.
And she'll be acting like, "No, I don't want it. I don't want it. No, I don't." Oh, come on, Hillary, come on. Well, okay, everybody's asking.
Bill's grooming her.
Everybody's asking.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's being groomed. She's being groomed. When we come back, I'm going to have an update on the state of, I've covered the news. Now it's time to have some fun, folks. I'm going to cover the state of the economic picture in this country.
That's
I'm going
fun.
to discuss the truth in media, law, and politics. And I'm going to make a few comments about Barack Obama's comment about the Supreme Court. This is the Bulldog on Real Talk 1160. Eric Deters, the Bulldog on Real Talk 1160. Barack Obama, it was very interesting. There once upon a time, at a State of the Union speech, he dogged the Supreme Court's decision relative to allowing corporations and everybody else really, totally just unlimited spending in political campaigns, which, by the way, I kind of agree with Barack Obama on that decision. everything that we got going on right now in the super PAC and everything else is thanks to the United States Supreme Court. However, it was wrong for him to say that in a State of the Union address with the Supreme Court sitting there. You could tell that Alito particularly wasn't very happy by the expression on his face. Well, yesterday, he made a comment that was absolutely ridiculous. He says, all you conservative commentators talking about the Supreme Court should not basically interpret the law and be going off the off the ranch and just making law an act of court. They should not strike down this law. This guy taught constitutional law. Boy, he must have been a lousy teacher. The Supreme Court in this particular situation is a very main, narrow decision to make. Does the Commerce Clause allow the government to require the purchase of a product? Ladies and gentlemen, the American jury, that's not activism. That's the Supreme Court doing their job that was set forth in Marbury versus Madison as the final arbitrator of constitutional issues in this country. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. And he basically attacks the Republican Party for if the court, and how crazy is that? If the court throws out Obamacare, it's not because it's unconstitutional. It's because it's the Republicans' fault. Incredible. Ladies and gentlemen, the American jury, I am going to start adding these figures to my daily newsletter and blog because I think you need to be reminded of this every day, just like we remind you of soldiers who are fallen. I went next door, and I brought my laptop, but I think the battery's dead. So I went next door at the break, and I wrote down these numbers. And if I was campaigning for president, which I will be in 2020, I guess if Hillary's elected in 2016, I'll be running against the incumbent Hillary Clinton probably.
Who's going to do the radio show?
We'll do it from the White House.
Oh, okay.
But I wrote these numbers down. Ladies and gentlemen, the American jury, when somebody tells you the economy is improving, when somebody sells you on the idea that everything is hunky-dory and fine in this country, I want you to remember some numbers. According to usdebtclock.org, check it out every once in a while. It's kind of depressing. You usually can't look at it every day. But I went and checked out usdebtclock.org. I've done this on the show before. It's been a long time. Our national debt is $15,614 billion and climbing. Now, what does that mean to you? Well, if you're just an average Joe citizen of the United States of America, that means you're on the hook. Your share is $49,388. But guess what, folks? Half of you jackwagons aren't taxpayers. The other half of us are. So for us taxpayers, that is $137,767. Now, all you blue-collar working men and women and white-collar working men and women, how many of you all have $137,767 lying around to cover your portion of our national debt? Yep, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. The budget deficit, ladies and gentlemen, the American jury, and there used to be outrage over a $300 billion deficit and a $400 billion deficit. The national budget deficit, folks, in plain language, the amount of money, the difference between what we're taking in tax revenues and what the federal government is spending is $1.3 trillion. $1.3 trillion. And what's Barack Obama say? Spend, baby, spend. It's criminal. You want treason? That's treason. $1.3 trillion. deficit. I read over the weekend in the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times how states' budgets, even like Michigan, states' budgets are improving because of the cuts that they've made. The cuts that they've made, states are balancing their budgets. All states but one require a balanced budget. Ladies and gentlemen of the American jury, how can you not require of your federal government that they balance their budget? Now, here are some more numbers for your consideration. Social Security, okay? How much we are on the hook right now for people getting Social Security, $15 trillion. The forgotten number, Medicare D. Thank you, George Bush and the Democrats. They joined together, sang Kumbaya, and passed this law. Unfunded prescription bill, the prescription medicine bill, $20 trillion. $5 trillion more than Social Security. Ladies and gentlemen of the American jury, we didn't have that until Bush and the Democrats laid it on us. They added that to the national. Those of you that like George Bush, Bulldog Nation member Amy, put that in your pipe and smoke it. George Bush, the second worst president in the history of the United States, worked with the Democrats. See all the good things that happen when they get together and sing Kumbaya? Laid on the American taxpayer and the grandchildren and the children of our country $20 trillion more dollars unfunded. Let's continue. The Medicare. This is giving out all that money, taking care of everybody. Here's some money. $82 trillion. It is, ladies and gentlemen of the American jury, 5 times the problem of Social Security. Total unfunded liabilities. That's for me, our children, and our grandchildren. $118 trillion. Guess what, folks? It's $1 million per taxpayer. I weep for America. I weep for my children. I weep for my grandchildren. I weep the same for yours. Because, you know, we have fun on this show more times than not. Who wants to be down and out? But let me tell you something, folks. Every once in a while, you need to be reminded. This country is going off an economic cliff. And the moral sin for us to burden our children and our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren with debt, to spend money that we don't have now for handouts that we can't afford, that they're going to have to pay for, is criminal. It is treasonous. It's why I loathe, and yes, I hate Barack Obama. He deserves my hatred. He deserves my loathe. It's why I hate and I loathe George Bush. Why I hate and I loathe the establishment of the Republican Party. Why I hate and I loathe the liberal Democrats in this country. I hate them. I loathe them. You should too. How can you do that to your... And by the way, folks, if you're racking up debt in your own personal life, guess what? Your kids don't have to pay the bill. You die with $200,000 in credit card debt, guess what? Your kids don't have to pay it. If the United States government keeps racking up the debt, the taxpayers have to pay it. You don't get to bankrupt it. Ladies and gentlemen of the American jury, Why does nearly 50% of the people in this country support the reelection of Barack Obama? I'll explain when we come back on Real Talk 1160.
And we have UC Bearcat baseball coming up this Saturday. The Bearcats take on South Florida. Steve Jarnicki calls the game. First pitch at 1 o'clock right here on Real Talk 1160. And now, back to the Bulldog.
Eric Deters, the Bulldog, on Real Talk 1160. This coming week, there's going to be a closing. And that closing is going to be on my dad's bank that he's selling to another bank. And my dear old dad came into my office yesterday, my law office out in Independence. And he came in and he sat down on the couch. And before we started talking business, as it usually is, we started talking politics. And we started talking about the upcoming election and how America is at a complete pinnacle of either disaster. We're at the apex. We are either going to go off the cliff or we're going to save America. And I told my dad, I says, Dad, can you imagine the economic surge, the economic growth, the boom that could happen if we elect Mitt Romney and the Republicans in the Senate? By the way, remember, I hate the establishment, but the reality is they recognize at least now the problem. The Democrats don't even recognize the problem. So can you imagine the economic boom if they get in there and repeal Obamacare and they repeal Dodd-Frank and they repeal all of the stifling laws and reform the tax code and have can you imagine a tax code of 25% and 10%? I mean, it would be boom time. And we were discussing why it is the way it is. And it's all about the handout. It's all about the handout. In this country, there are people that are getting unemployment benefits for over 2 years. In this country, there's people that are living on free government housing. In this country, there are people that get food stamps. Now, by the way, I want to stress this to you. I'm a pro food stamp guy because I know lots of hardworking people, but for food stamps, their families would go hungry. And you know what? They deserve food stamps. And guess what, folks? Food stamps doesn't cost us a lot. You put food stamps up next to this Medicare, the Social Security, and the prescription drug bill, it's nothing. But I'm just saying that's just another government handout. You got Social Security. You got Medicare. You got Medicaid. You got seniors that do not want it to be touched at all. You got Nancy Pelosi saying we're not going to change anything. I cannot believe that a president of the United States that has been president during the disaster that's Iraq, he's continued the policies, the disaster that's been Afghanistan, we still have 90,000 troops. Oh, we're going to cut back 20. The president who's been in charge under Fast and Furious, illegal immigration, doesn't want energy independence, keeps spending like a drunken sailor, how nearly 50% in all polls, 47, 48%, are voting for the reelection of Barack Obama. And I told my dad, I said, Pops, you know what? How incredible is it? And Barack Obama and his campaign team knows this. It doesn't make any difference what they say or what they do. People are going to vote for them because of what they're getting. Hey, they don't care. They don't care that we have the budget deficit of $1.3 trillion. They don't care about them. $137,000 per taxpayer obligation on the national debt. They don't care about a $1 million obligation on a taxpayer for unfunded liabilities because of what they are going to get. Now, let me tell you something, folks. I'm a student of history. And you've heard me say many a times, we don't need saints. I'm a sinner. You're probably a sinner. I only know a few saints. Let me see. Christy Schoberg, sorry for mentioning your name, she's a saint. I can prove that she's a saint. I know some saints out there. But you know what? There's a lot of sinners. We don't need saints. And you know what? If you look back in American history, and today is the anniversary of the Marshall Plan, where Harry Truman and George Marshall decided to make sure that German people in West Berlin didn't starve. And I watched NASA employees on 60 Minutes cry about the lack of just the despair because of the pride that they've lost with the shutting down of the space shuttle. And I watched the guy that's laid off and he hangs the American flag every day, and he was asked, how's it make you feel when you hang that flag up every day? And he said, you know what? It's worth fighting for. It's worth fighting for. Ladies and gentlemen, the American jury, throughout the history of America, there's been sex. There's been sex scandals. There's been financial schemes. There's been Ponzi schemes. There's been financial scams. There's been infidelity. There's been murder. There's been crime. There's been the mob. There's been vice. Heck, history will show that our founding fathers drank a lot of ale, snorted some cocaine. But you know what, ladies and gentlemen, the American jury, despite throughout our history from the founding fathers all the way up probably until the most selfish generation of all time, I'm calling you out, the hippie generation that decided, oh man, let's live now, let's live now. And they took over our politics. They took over our politics, folks. Despite all of those vices that existed in our country's history in the 1700s, the 1800s, and the 1900s, our American political leaders still had honor, they had discipline, they had virtue, they had selflessness. I remember my grandfather, God bless his soul, and he was 84 when he died, and I had lunch with him every week. C.B. Bud Deters. Got fired when he was in his 50s from the editor of the Kentucky Times-Star, so he started an insurance and real estate business. Died as chairman of the airport board. And he always wore a suit, and he always had a dignity about him. Always. Always concerned about his community. Always concerned about what was going on in politics. Always concerned about his family. There was a dignity and an honor of that generation. It's gone. It's gone. People like me that are a product of it still got it. Many of you are like me. You come from a father and a mother that ingrained upon us work ethic and honor. And by the way, I'm a sinner, but you know what? I work my butt off. I take care of my family. I care, despite my flaws. But you know what, folks? We are outnumbered. We're outgunned. It's gone. It's gone. It's hip-hop, feel-good, me generation, what's in it for me? Give me that check. Let's be cool. What's cool? It's gone. And what's scary, folks, is I don't know how we get it back. How do you and I get it back? For our children, our grandchildren, how do we get it back? We are in the minority now. It's incredible. It's incredible. How could a country, the greatest country in the history of the world, greater than the Roman Republic, get in this position? We come back, I'm going to keep on talking. This is the Bulldog on Real Talk 1160. Eric Deters, the Bulldog on Real Talk 1160. You can email me at eric@ericdeters.com. You can text me at 859-250-2527. My Kentucky license suspension's over in 20 days. You can, if you got an Ohio legal matter, I'm good to go, ready to rock and roll. Also, I'd love to be your Facebook friend. You can follow me on Twitter, Bull Law. And every day from 7 to 9 a.m., I'm right here on Real Talk 1160, entertaining you, inspiring you, and informing you. You can call 513-579-1160 if you got something witty or wise to say. If you got something plain and stupid to say, don't bother. How do you like that? Ladies and gentlemen, the American jury, I'm going to continue along the same vein that I have been in a calm voice. I have said that the three pillars of America are God, the Constitution, and capitalism. The country was founded on God, the Constitution, which created our government, the Bill of Rights, which protects us from that government, and capitalism. You can't name anything else that doesn't fall under those three. Family falls under all of them. And let me tell you, all three are under attack. Big time. I'm a secular guy, but I'm also a religious guy, a spiritual guy. I'm one of these individuals that pray every day, but I don't go to church every Sunday. And by the way, I say that with shame because I ought to, wish I would. But I don't go to church every Sunday like I ought to. Unfortunately, that's a bad trend in America, people not going to church. But the Constitution, I will defend it. Look at Obamacare. They're basically going to make it a crime not to have health insurance, and Barack Obama thinks that's constitutional. And then we got capitalism, baby. Tax, tax, tax. Regulate, 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 regulate. Kill that capitalism. Kill it, kill it, kill it. And you know what? When I was talking about that we had, like rock and roll music, for example. You know, we had Dick Clark in the 50s and 60s. We had rock music. Guess what? All of us that listen to that music, we still got up and worked every day. We still went to school every day. We didn't sit around and sleep till noon. And then, like justice, the lack of the injustice I see every day, and I fight against. And by the way, folks, I don't mean to sound like I'm patting myself on the back, but it is the reality. I fight every day injustices. Women that get sexually harassed at work. Individuals who get unfairly fired by big corporations. People who are mistreated by cops. Mistreated by not given their medicine when they're in jail. Hospitals who don't do what they're supposed to do and young children die. I fight these battles every single. People charged with crimes which they should not be charged with. I fight these battles every day. I got sanctioned by a federal judge for suing a prosecutor and cops for holding a black man in jail for 5 months they knew didn't commit the crime. And for fighting for him, I get sanctioned. Plato, I'm going to lay some Plato on you. Plato said justice is the greatest good and injustice is the greatest evil. Is it justice? Is it justice for this government of ours to burden our children and our grandchildren with a debt they will not be able to pay? Is that the greatest good or is that the greatest evil? It's plain, flat out evil. The selfishness in this country has no bounds these days. There's unions that would rather bankrupt a company or a public union, bankrupt a state, rather than solve the problem. There's so many ailments in this country. If I could only be king for about a month. Prankster, you're on Real Talk 1160. Say something witty or wise.
Hello.
Yeah, Prankster, what's up?
Hey, you're talking about how to take back America.
Yep.
Raise your children the right way. Make them take off those pants that are hanging down below their butt and their underwear are shining. Make them not listen to music that's got the F word in it and stuff like that. Raise them right, and we will take America back.
Well, I agree with you, Prankster, that's a start. That's a start. Just a lack of respect. By the way, folks, just so you know, I battle that stuff myself. I battle with my own kids at times, man. I know exactly what you're talking about. And you know, you shake your head, but I'm telling you, we're the last generation, I'm afraid. By the way, there are some great kids out there. There are some great young people. I like taking up for young people. There are some great young. You go in any high school around this tri-state or this country, some great kids. Some great kids. Problem is, I think they're outnumbered. Glenn, you're on Real Talk 1160.
What's going on, Eric?
I'm just trying to save America, Glenn.
I think we don't need saving. I think we'll be all right. We're a strong group of people. But let me say this, Eric. I think you might be hanging in an alternative universe. And I say that for this particular reason, and I got a pretty good example. Over the weekend, me and my sister and all the grandkids, we celebrated my mother's 73rd birthday. And you talked about the generation and how they don't want to work and how they don't want to strive and achieve. And I turned and I looked around at my nieces and nephew. I got a nephew who's a sophomore at Wittenberg College, about to transfer to Miami. My niece, Kiara, she's a senior at Northwest High School. She's accepted a soccer scholarship at the University of Indianapolis. And my other niece, Jordan, who's a junior at Cincinnati State, and she'll be graduating early. And I look around at my friends and my family. Man, we get up and go to work every day. We're taxpayers, and I just don't see the pessimistic outlook of America that you see. What am I missing?
Well, here's what you're missing, Glenn, and I want to tell you that I can name my relatives, friends, kids that could say the same thing that you just said. Here is what you're missing, Glenn. What did you not hear? 15 trillion, 614 billion in debt. Do each of those kids that you mentioned, Glenn, have $49,000 to pay their portion of that? A $1.3 trillion deficit, Glenn. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about $118 trillion in unfunded mandates. That's $1 million per taxpayer, Glenn. That's what you're missing. Didn't you hear that? That's what I'm talking about. Glenn, right before I took your call, not even knowing what you were going to say, I said exactly what you said. I know some people, kids, there's a great, my daughter is a first-year law student at Chase, number 10th in her class. She's going to have a bright future if America can give it to her. My daughter, Charlie Ann, cuts hair, gets up every day and goes cuts hair every day. I mean, my son, I got a son in Louisville. I got two sons who are working right now. They're going to start art school next semester. I'm telling you, Glenn, sure, there's some great kids. And it's all the more how absolutely sinful it is that this generation of elected leaders, and I'm going to tell you right now, I have countless quote unquote, former hippie friends. Some very nice people. They were a part of it. But let me tell you something. That generation that turned against the establishment in the 1960s and decided, oh, it's me. Check out, man. Check out, man. Peace, man. All that whole attitude of, hey, it's about me. It's about me. They took political power, and this is what they have created. This is what they've created. Far from the government of the United States of America, the self-sacrificing, honor, discipline, and virtuous America of my grandfather and father. That's a fact, Jack. All right, TC, I just spent about 40 minutes wrapping the truth. It's time to get everybody cheered up again before we give them the Laura Ingraham.
I think that's a good idea.
You're darn right. But I needed to say that. I haven't said it in a while, TC.
Yeah.
I needed to remind everybody what's really going on. By the way, I don't like to talk about myself. Do you know out of 1,457,000 lawyers, my lawyer profile on Martindale.com is the 65th most viewed this week.
Well,
Now think about all the lawyers in New York, L.A., Miami. I'm a little lawyer in Cincinnati.
How about that?
65th most viewed profile.
Who's the guy at the bottom of the list?
That's a great question. That is hilarious.
Low self-esteem there, huh?
Yeah, like the bottom of the barrel of 1,400,000 lawyers. We come back, I'm going to have some fun on Real Talk 1160.
Real Talk 1160 with Laura Ingram coming up at 9 o'clock, 9 to noon, followed by Michael Savage on Real Talk 1160. And now, back to the Bulldog.
This is Eric Deters, the Bulldog on Real Talk 1160. I want to remind everybody, Thursday, 2 days from now, opening day, Cincinnati Reds, baby. And it all starts with the opening day parade that begins down at Findlay Market, and that's where we will be from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. doing the show live from Findlay Market. And then from there, we will get in the Bulldog Mobile truck, and we will be in the opening day parade representing Real Talk 1160 and having a blast. Whiskey is going to be there, folks. You're going to get to see whiskey. We're going to fill up the back of an F-150 truck with candy. All of the kids along the route will love Bulldog Nation. We're going to recruit new members with candy.
We're going to pass out maybe business cards instead. Because there might be a thing about the candy.
No, you're allowed to. You're allowed to.
Are you really?
We checked. You're allowed to throw candy.
Okay. I think the business card would be better. Here, kids, have a business card.
Well, I will throw, if I see any accidents along the route, we will hand deliver the business card. In addition to that, I'm going to give out some Bulldogs Mafia black T-shirts. And just to get you guys, now that I've given you the reality, I'm going to give you the feel-good song twice in one day. Twice. We played this to honor the UK Wildcats. And you know what? If it's good enough for a Bengals touchdown celebration, it's good enough for the UK Wildcats. National champions, folks. There's only one left standing, and it's Calipari's Wildcats. And nobody's going to work on Thursday, are you? Everybody will be taking off, TC, to go watch the Reds. Are you calling in sick? You better not.
Are you kidding me? It's not just opening day. It's a holiday.
Holiday, baby.
No, I wonder. Anybody at UK's campus going to class today?
Probably not. Can you imagine the hangovers they're suffering from today?
I mean, no one scheduled an exam for today, did they?
Oh, my God, I hope not. I hope not.
We taking that class in summer school?
You know, this would be a good day for that excuse to say, come on, man, I'm just going to cancel the class.
Right.
And you know what? There wasn't any, apparently a few minor fractions, but nothing too devastating.
Oh, shots fired.
Just goes to show you that we care more about beating Louisville than winning a national championship. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Chuck Holbrook's here with his UK hat on.
Good morning.
Nice hat,
Hello,
Chuck.
Chuck.
Which mic is
Pull
he
up
on?
to a microphone.
How about them cats?
You know, as I said, Chuck, not losing is really more important than winning. It's like how terrible you feel lingers longer than the victory.
Just the thought of losing that game.
How do you
even
like
being down, that would have been stressful.
How do you like our feel-good song?
What is it?
Put the headphones on.
Bang the drum all day. You know what we're going to do? Maybe today I'm going to go back to the office, take off my clothes, get some bongo drums like Matthew McConaughey, and bang on my bongo drums naked all day like Matthew McConaughey. If Matthew McConaughey can do it, I can do it.
What about Terry Bradshaw in that movie?
Don't make any comments about me and Matthew McConaughey looking not alike.
What about Terry Bradshaw with Matthew McConaughey? What's that movie with Jennifer Aniston?
Yeah, he wouldn't leave the house.
He's cleaning the fish tank naked.
Sarah Jessica Parker. He wouldn't leave the house. So get the hell out of the house. But you got to like Matthew McConaughey. He can bang on those drums all day naked.
No.
Now, there's an example. Who would call the police on a guy as cool as Matthew McConaughey banging on his bongo drums naked?
I don't want to see that.
They called the police on him.
I don't want to see that.
I don't want to see it, but let him bang away, man.
Can you hear the 911 call? Sir, there's a naked man in the window, and he's banging on his bongos.
The bongo drums. You know, I guess if you're going to do hey, I got a question. What do you think the odds are there was a little Mary Jane involved and a guy playing bongo drums naked?
Oh, yeah.
I saw him in concert one time. He was on a pretty good show.
McConaughey's in concert?
No, Todd Rundgren.
Oh, I was going to say, Matthew McConaughey on tour with his bongo drums. I tell you right now, if Matthew McConaughey played on stage bongo drums, the ladies would buy it and sell it out.
They'd love it. And he did, hit after hit, and I kept going, I didn't know he sang that.
I spoke about this before. When there's a hot woman on the camera, I can't say anything, but my wife's allowed to say he's a hunk.
Yeah, but you can't. Yeah,
but I can't say it.
You have to act disinterested, right?
And my wife says, what do you not understand about this rule? So, Chuck,
What?
you sent me a picture last night. Your good woman, fixed you a feast. By the way, his woman looks like Gwyneth Paltrow.
Well, I thought it was Heather Locklear.
That's not bad. But anyway, she fixed you a big meal for the game.
Barbecue ribs, baked potatoes.
Man, that is love.
And a dessert afterwards.
That is love. My wife fixed me a grilled cheese, and it was just as good as ribs. By the way, I wanted the grilled cheese. Don't think that I don't want to. Go ahead.
But, Rebecca got, I told her your text. Oh, that's great or something like that. Good woman. And he said, well, he's married to Martha Stewart.
That's right. I am married to Martha Stewart. She gets mad when I say it, although she's in Louisville now. She's not listening now. I'm safe to say that. She gets mad when I say that.
No, so now you can talk about her, huh?
But I can tell you right now, it's the double standard, man. They can talk about the hunks, but we're not allowed to say it. I'm not kidding you. If we're in a movie and there's a nude scene, I got to look down, look away. I'm not allowed to even look at it.
There's a reason why.
Sometimes I'll replay a movie at home because I didn't get the look,
There's a reason why.
She's in bed. I'm going to go replay that.
when a woman looks at a guy on TV or whatever, and oh, he's a hunk or whatever, that's innocent for a woman. But, every time a guy looks at a woman, he's thinking opportunity.
That's right. Speaking of ladies,
why is I don't think so.
On the Today Show, I got to make a couple comments about the ladies.
Okay.
Christy Brinkley, I don't know if she had work done or what, looking nice.
Yeah, she's over.
Now, Sarah Palin, same thing. And I told Jacob, for them to look that good on television, which adds like 15 pounds to you, how skinny are they in real life? However, I did say this. I told Jacob, remember I had that lifestyle magazine showing the ladies without their makeup?
Yeah.
I'll bet you Sarah Palin and Christy Brinkley don't look as hot without the makeup on. Your comments, please.
I agree. Probably not.
Chuck?
I agree. I think Sarah Palin's really naturally pretty.
Well, yeah, she got those Raquel Welch cheekbones.
Christy Brinkley's a cover girl. Early in the morning, you look at her and say, ooh, stay under the cover,
God,
girl.
I hope my wife's not listening. God, I hope she's in Louisville. I hope she's not listening. Now, what about Robin Meade? Have you seen a picture of her without makeup?
No, I have not. Every time I've seen her, she's been on television or, to print on online or something like that.
Well, Chuck, do you think it's a good recovery? For 45 minutes, I got people so depressed about how terrible the economic news. I think talking about ladies would cheer up Bulldog Nation. Do you think they're cheered up?
I think so.
Think about it. We got Reds opening day coming up, UK's national champions. Yeah. We got Easter weekend coming up.
Right.
Awesome
My daughter's
weather.
birthday's Thursday. Awesome weather. I mean, there's nothing to be sad about. Is there?
No, nothing to be sad about.
Love what you said about you can't be more happy.
You can't be more happy.
Yeah.
By the way, you know who screws that up more than anybody else? Men. Come on, guys. You know what I'm saying? Everything's good, but no, I'm going to do something stupid to try to be more happy, and then you're miserable.
Well, I was happy Friday.
Dumb. Why are women smarter than us?
Well,
they are. I'm going to give it to them. Women are smarter than guys. We are boneheads.
Years ago, Adam and Eve, Adam was talking to God, and he said,
God,
God,
apple, man.
He said, God, why did you make women so beautiful? I said, so you would love her, Adam. And he said, well, why did you make her so soft and curvy? So you would love her, Adam. Well, why'd you make her so stupid? So she would love you, Adam. That's about the only way.
I love it. And of course, hey, let's face it, what happened? She pulled, don't touch that fruit. The one thing God said,
right.
You can have everything you want. There's a moral of this story in it. Everything you want, except the apple on that tree. What's Adam got to have? He's got to try to be more happy. See, Adam's the first example of a guy trying to be more happy and screwing up. And it was a woman that said, no, I'll give you that apple. It's okay to have that apple. He tried to be more happy, and look what the hell happened.
By the way, women are not stupid. The music effects on this program are not those of them.
Every dog has their day. I hope tomorrow's yours. Wildcats, national champions. Real Talk 1160.